Someone says, what's the future? Vaughn Coleman.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another episode of Vaughn Coleman Presents. I've been doing a lot of these lately, but so many people are launching this summer. I launched again this summer, but so many people are, so many great books. But before we get to that, my guests who you're all here for, obviously, I do want to talk about my comic book. Which one do I want to? I'll pull up the Kickstarter today. It's on 3 different platforms, which I recommend people do. Launch on multiple platforms. Everyone always has a reason for why they will only back here, and you go, or I won't back here, and you're like, okay. So it's always good just to have it on the other platforms, in my opinion. But I want to talk about my comic book, Phenomenova. It is also on Indiegogo. But it is Phenomenova is set 20 years after World War III and follows the idealistic son of a war hero who is struck by lightning while holding a mysterious crystal. We got 5 total covers. And I'm proud to announce that we literally just before this, all my interior pages have been colored. So if you're interested in that, definitely check it out. I'll make sure to throw that link out in the chat. You could also find it as well as the link to Vaughn and Marion's campaign in the description. But enough about me. All right, you get me every time. All right, let's bring in my guest. Please welcome Vaughn and Marion. How's it going?
Hey, what's up, Vaughn? How's it going, man?
Long time no see. What, 2 weekends back to back?
Yeah, right. Yeah, we were at Heroes Con and Garden State Comic Fest.
And then you somehow rallied for a third con?
I did, yeah. I went to Undiscovered Realm Comic Con in White Plains, but that one's really close to where I live. So
that's cool.
That wasn't too bad. Yeah.
I was wondering because I was I got something at Heroes and I was barely recovering, and then Garden State hit me again. So do you guys? I got to start taking Airborne or something before these cons. Is that what you do, or what do you? Or do you guys just have immunity built up?
I mean, yeah, I definitely do the vitamin regimen, everything, vitamin D, vitamin B. B12, all of it, magnesium, the whole thing. So I don't take Airborne so much anymore just because there's a ton of sugar in it. But doing the whole vitamin thing, when I get really sick, I use Emergency or Airborne. Yeah, but cons wear you out, man. They're a lot of work.
They are. And I think I was doing too much socializing at this con. It was the first time I was tabling, so next time I'll actually work more. But it is a lot of work, selling your products, but it's one of the best ways, I think, to make connections. For example, this, I was like, oh, I found you online. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute. I think I've seen you on a lot of guest lists. But I hadn't read your work, but I love your artwork, but I don't think I'd ever read any of it. But looking at your resume now, I mean, you've done so much cool stuff. One of the things, following up Michael Turner on Soulfire that's got to be a hard act to follow.
Oh, dude, yeah, that was awesome. I mean, Mike Turner, he was him and Jim Lee were my artistic heroes. They're the guys who made me want to be a comic book artist, And I didn't follow Mike immediately. When Mike passed away, I was still in college, so I didn't actually get the chance to meet him. But I did volume 5 of Soulfire, I think it was. It's called All New Soulfire, and that was when 2013. I think so. Yeah, they were Aspen was always a company that I wanted to work for because I just loved Mike Turner so much, and they really gave me my first big break in the industry, and I worked with them for years, 3.5, 4 years, something like that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I wanted to because I love the story of Soulfire. I wish she was there, but I had no idea that you had worked on that until I was looking you up, and I was like, that's amazing because Soulfire, in my opinion, is his best work. At least, writing because Jeff Loeb, came on. So I think that was his best work. I loved his Witchblade. I discovered him after he died, but he immediately became one of my favorite artists. The Witchblade, and then it was he's one of those few artists where I'm I want to read everything that they do look at. And I just love his stuff. But so I guess going back for a second, so how did you first get into comics?
I like as a fan, like I was always into this stuff, you know. Like when I was a real little kid, I think my first real like exposure to superheroes was the Christopher Reeve Superman movie, and like all the. I think you're a bit younger than me, so you probably don't remember this. But in the '90s, there was a line of action figures for both Marvel and DC. They're called Marvel Heroes and DC Heroes. I think Toy Biz made them, but I can't remember for sure. But I had like all of them, and that was kind of like my introduction to all the characters, and like. So as I got older, like, you know, middle school, I got started reading comics and watching anime, like all that kind of at the same time. And then in high school, Batman Hush, and then Michael Turner was doing covers at DC with Superman, Batman, and The Flash. And that was the first time I saw like his work. And that just like, it was Batman Hush and then followed quickly up by Michael Turner's stuff that like, you know, I was like, man, it was the first time like, because I had been reading comics here and there like my whole life, like, you know, like Green Lantern, Silver Surfer, like Kyle Rayner, Green Lantern, he was my guy. But like I never like connected like the writers and artists like names, you know, as a kid. But it was like when Batman Hush, I was like, it just looked so different from everything else. That I was like, damn, this is like awesome. And I looked up who he was, and I was like, oh, this is like the guy who drew X-Men when I was a kid, you know. And
that's cool.
Yeah, and then Michael Turner was another one that like when I saw I saw those Flash covers and I was like, who is this dude? This guy's awesome. And like his style just looked so unique because I was really big into anime at the time, and like his work looked like a blend of like that kind of what we now know as that 90s style, that Jim Lee, Mark Silvestri kind of style, but like with like anime kind of like elements in it. And like that just, it really spoke to me. And like if you look at my work now, like that's obviously something I'm trying that like still speaks to me, and like is something that I like riding that line between like Western and Eastern kind of styles of art, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I could see it in your art. You're pulled from both, which I love. I mean, I think there's so much good. That's, you know, I was like looking at your booth and you had like all the stuff I liked, which is really cool.
Thanks.
Michael Alden says, what's up, guys? Reynolds, hi, Vaughn, and VK.
Yo,
and
what's
then
up, guys?
Nine Realms says, VK and Marion, what are your top 3 anime manga? That's a good question.
Ooh, that is, I mean, of all time, I mean, Dragon Ball Z definitely up there. Gundam Wing. I really like Gundam 00 too. Gundam 00 and Gundam Wing are kind of like neck and neck for me. Wing for the nostalgia, 00 because I think it's like the best of the Gundam series. And the third, that's a tough one, man. I mean, right now I'm really liking Jujutsu Kaisen, but old school anime I really love is Vision of Escaflowne, which is also a big influence on my book, like a mixing of like mecha and fantasy and sci-fi and stuff. And Ronin Warriors is one I loved as a kid too. I think the Japanese version is called Samurai Troopers, but it's kind of like the dude version of Sailor Moon. It's like 5 guys in samurai armor and they're all different colors, and it's like it's very kind of simplistic, but it's like the visuals are just so cool. Like their armor looks sick, and that's definitely
that sounds awesome. I gotta confess, I actually, even including Dragon Ball, I haven't seen any of those. I need to.
Really?
I know.
You've never seen Dragon Ball Z?
I know.
Oh
and I get
God.
that reaction every time. Like, what are you doing? Have you not seen Dragon Ball? I get it. Phil Russert. Oh, I was just on a show last night. I know these dudes. Yeah, he's a good guy.
Oh, Phil's awesome, man. What's up, Phil?
My first published work was a 10-pager in the back of his tragedy trade.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Tragedy is so dope. Dude,
yeah.
It's so impressive what he's been able to do with that character and that like his like empire he's building. It's so cool.
Oh yeah, his empire. That's a great way to describe it. I've been seeing he's got so much stuff out. But all right, so you were into anime and all that, and then you decided you wanted to jump into comics as an artist.
Yeah. Because I was always drawing, you know, as a kid. Like, and it was funny, like in middle school and stuff, in high school, like this movie in middle school, like the idea of like doing art as a living was like I just thought of, like starving painters, you know, like Van Gogh and you know, like and so like I was like, there's not really any sort of job in it, right? And then like I started seeing stuff like Disney animators, and that was kind of like an idea. But then when I saw that like they drew like he drew like Superman and Batman, and they got paid for it, I was like, oh, that's totally what I want to do. Like I didn't realize how hard it would be at the time, but like you know, it's that's definitely what put me on the path. And all through like high school, and then I went to college for art as well, into Pratt Institute, which I majored in digital animation, but I also took a ton of illustration classes. So which I think helped with comics, because I think that really helped with my like understanding of storytelling and like movement and motion and like the storage. But yeah, that was, then I graduated and just tried like crazy to get a job in comics, and was just bringing my portfolio around to conventions after convention. And like Aspen was like one I'd always go to. And Frank Mastromaro, who is like the owner there, it was every year I'd be showing him my stuff, and he'd be like, no, you're not ready. And then finally he was like, I think you're ready. I think you're ready.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It was so cool. It was so dope.
That's so, all right. Yeah, I mean that was one of the things I love seeing younger artists when I'm getting something signed and a younger artist comes up with their portfolio to perfect. I just love seeing that. And they're like, here's what you need to work on, here's this, and I just know that they'll keep coming back. And I don't know. I always love seeing that. I have no artistic talent because I'm a I've writing, but artists coming, like, just seeing them improve is so great. I love when artists post like, here's what I drew a few years ago, and then you just see them now. Or even just an artist. I was talking to an artist that I met a few years ago, and then it's just like, oh my God, this guy just is killing it. Project Now says I need VK on a cover. Oh, we were talking to him, right? Did you talk to him?
Yeah.
Garden State?
Yeah, Paul.
Yeah.
Oh, what's up, Paul? Yeah, definitely do a cover for you, man.
Yeah, man. I'd love to get you to do something too. Your stuff is amazing. I love.
Oh, thanks, man, for sure.
Yeah, I got it. Your DC stuff you've been doing. You said you were growing up with so Marvel, DC, and like a whole bunch of anime and manga. And I'm curious, did you ever work in animation? Because you said you majored in that.
So I did. Yeah, I did. I did some commercial and for like commercials, like did like storyboards and stuff. Nothing like that you'd know. It was like, like I think like EpiPens, like, so it was like not like a commercial.
I have an EpiPen.
Yeah,
I did. So yeah, I'll get you to sign my EpiPen.
But yeah, I did a little bit of work in like commercials. So like the animation work I did was for like previs for commercials, like storyboarding stuff, and I've done a little bit of work for like film development and like movies and for like video games and like concept art and stuff, but not a ton, not too much I can talk about because it's still like hasn't been made yet, it was years ago. So it just shows how it was like 2019 I was working on it. So it just shows how long the stuff like takes to actually get made to the screen. But yeah, the vast majority of my work's been in comics. I'm doing a little bit right now for a friend of mine is doing an independent video game, and I'm doing like he's doing like when characters talk, like the heads come in and the text like dialogue shows, and so I'm doing like the art for like all the heads that like talk, which is pretty cool. I'm excited for when I can start showing all that stuff.
Oh wait, you're talking like the way even though I've never played it, don't they do that in like Persona? Is that what you're talking about? When like
sort of like that. Yeah,
I prefer that anytime over those automated cutscenes where it's the characters stand and you could tell that it was just AI and their mouths move, but it's like never synced. Like the Arkham games, I love the Arkham games, some of my favorite games ever. But when they do that, it always looked so jarring.
Yeah,
I don't know. But
sure.
But that's so cool. So it seems like you have a background in everything. I mean, video games, movies, commercials, and then comics. You're always doing too.
Yeah, vast majority is comics. All that other stuff's big. Small, but
it's something though. It's experience, man. And that's a lot. And so I'm curious, what were your favorite comics growing up? I know it's funny you mentioned Batman Hush because that was the first comic I read. That was a big influence on me too. But what were your favorite comics?
Like in terms of characters, Superman's my all-time favorite. My favorite book of all time is Superman Birthright by Mark Waid and Lin Yu. Like I just think it's like so good. It's like it's such a high energy, like modern feeling version of Superman. It's something that I always want Superman to be, and it's so hard for him to try to get it right, where he's like hopeful and optimistic, but also like so badass and just so high energy and so action packed that like I love that book so much. I mean, let me see like the Flash, X-Men. X-Men was a huge influence. I mean, different eras of mainly the Jim Lee one, mainly that like 90s like Jim Lee, Adam Kubert, Andy Kubert era. What else? Like Battle Chasers with Joe Mad was huge for me. All the Michael Turner stuff like Witchblade, Fathom, Soulfire. I'm trying to think like other characters. The Green Lantern stuff when Jeff Johns started writing it, I got really into it. I mean, I was always a fan of the Kyle Rayner era, but like when Jeff Johns came on with Hal Jordan Rebirth and stuff, I got really into the whole Green Lantern mythology and the lore there. And of course like Batman and like I think Nightwing was always like I've always liked Nightwing more than Batman as a kid, and even now as an adult, I just think he looks cooler. Like his costume,
he's awesome.
He just looks sleek. Yeah. On the Marvel side, Iron Fist and Silver Surfer like kind of like the oddball characters, and I don't know why, but like because I mean I grew up with martial arts, a huge influence in my life, and I practiced it since I was like 4.5, like till now. So Iron Fist was always like a character I always like related to, and just from that regard of martial arts. And Silver Surfer I just always like because of the surfboard thing, like because I always like skateboarding, and like you just felt like so it's different, like.
Yeah, those are great. I love Iron Fist design. I think he has such a cool character design.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, he is, especially I personally like the 90s one. I mean, not the 90s one, the 70s one with the collar. Like the original is my favorite.
Yeah.
But he always looks cool though, regardless.
Yeah. I that original one with the big collar is cool, and I like the mid 2000 like 8-ish one where like he had like the green shirt with the yellow symbol on his chest with like the bandana. I always thought that was cool too.
Oh yeah,
it's like a sleeker version. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm curious, before we get into your comic, as a Superman fan, because he's your favorite, why do you think people today versus back then can't get Superman right? In movies.
I've thought about this a lot, and like I have an opinion on it. I don't know if it's like controversial or whatever, but like I think people try way too hard to make him like in the modern era. I would say from the probably like mid 90s onward, I think in media and in comics and pretty much everything, I think there's this like attempt to make him like to strip him back, to like pull his powers away, to make him like quote unquote more relatable, and by therefore giving him more problems and more anguish and more worries and stuff. And like I just don't think the character works as well that way. I think what makes him relatable, and I've always found about him as relatable, is that he's a guy just trying to do the right thing in a world that's always making that hard to do, right?
Yes.
Because I think I think people in general are good in real life, right? But I do think the world makes it like there's so many obstacles, so many hurdles that you go through, right? And I think, it's like the world is kind of bleak in a lot of ways, and it always tries to like tear you down, but you guys just have to try your best to like be the best version of yourself, and to try as hard as you can be to be a good person, and to help those around you, and to like just be like the absolute best version of yourself. I think that's what makes Superman relatable. And I think making him sad and making him angry and stuff just doesn't make him fun. Like I think I always go to the comparison of Goku and Dragon Ball Z, which you haven't seen, but he's like
you can make
but he's like a very much like anime version of Superman in a lot of ways. Like they are different characters, but in terms of like power set and stuff, they're very similar. And like no one in culture complains that Goku is like boring because he's powerful, right? Like I think that's this thing that like writers like get twisted. I think it's so dumb because all you have to do is make villains that are stronger. It's fiction. Like he doesn't always have to fight Lex Luthor. He can fight stronger aliens, like, but I think just keeping him hopeful and like, and just making him like super fun is like the key to it. And I think the new My Adventures of Superman cartoon is actually really good. Like I think that threads that line really well. And I hope that the new movies like do that. I'm hopeful. We'll see though.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, I'm in agreement with you. I think that people overthink it. They want to make Superman this gritty character. And people are like, oh, Superman is finally badass. I'm like, what do you mean? He wasn't before? Like he wasn't saving entire, like what wasn't badass about? Because what, he smiled? He was colorful, and that's now we have. Or when they did this whole weird thing in the New 52 where they're like, yeah, we're removing his underwear because we want him to be cool. I'm like, what are you talking about? It was fine. No one ever thought. I don't know anyone who thought about that until they decided that this was an issue that needed addressing. And I was like, it's really not.
I will say that I think he does look cooler without the underwear.
You think so?
Really? I'm objectively, I think the underwear on all these characters is a weird choice. It's like a holdover from like a bygone era from like the circus strongman that like doesn't really exist anymore, right? But it has sort of supplanted in culture that it's something that superheroes wear, right? So like we no longer associate with strongmen, we do associate with superheroes. So like I do get from a design element why it's there and like why people like it, right? I'm of the opinion that I used to have stronger opinions on it one way or the other. Like I used to change my mind back and forth on what's cooler, the underwear, no underwear. But like now I'm at the point where I'm like, as long as he looks recognizable as Superman, I don't really care. As long as he's got the colors, as long as someone looks at the character and says that's Superman, like I'm good with it, right? Like, and so obviously there's design elements that like I like more than others or whatever, but as long as he just looks like Superman, I think it's okay. And I do think you're right though that people do overthink it, like with the underwear. Like Christopher Reeve was badass as Superman. He was great. Like that first movie is so good. Yeah,
it's the same thing with like when people they try, and it's like a weird thing. For example, I'm a huge X-Men fan, and people will say Cyclops isn't as badass as like can't they as Wolverines? Like can't they be just different kinds? Like can't like not everyone has to be Wolverine or the Punisher. You know, people can characters can just be. That's the Superman isn't supposed to be like, and people are like, oh, we need to update Superman. I'm like, so he's been good for 80 years and now suddenly he's outdated. Like, no, that's not how it works.
Well,
he's timeless.
It's funny if you look at the era when Superman was super popular, like when he outsold everyone, it was when they just leaned into him being super good, super powerful. You know, like the 60s, 70s era of Superman was way more popular than Batman, you know, and like I think he still has the potential to be really, really popular. And like I just think you just kind of gotta not make it nostalgic, because I think that's a tricky hole. I think you do always have to make things modern and relevant, right? Like I think you just can't always be going down that nostalgia hole, because you do get into this issue where I think a lot of things happen now where he feels like a man out of time. They just try to make him like a 1950s kind of guy, which I don't think that really works for a modern audience either. Like, but I think you have to get like the personality, that like optimistic, hopeful personality, but put it in like a modern lens. And I think that's kind of like the trick. And it's much easier. It's easier for me to just say it like this here than to actually write it and execute it, for sure. Like I understand there's a nuance to it.
Yeah,
but I do think it's possible.
No, I mean, for example, in the New 52, there's that one part where Superman, I think he like hits Green Lantern into something and he like blows up. And he's like, what? And even as a new comic book reader, I was like, Superman wouldn't do that. I'm like, that doesn't, and it's weird because Jeff Johns normally really gets these characters. He's one of my favorite writers, but it felt like they were trying to fix something that was perfect. Like you can't fix, like Superman was not broken, and anyone who tells you he is doesn't get Superman. Like,
yeah, I mean, I will defend New 52 Superman because I did like that era. I think
I don't want to keep pegging on it.
No, because like I do think like I didn't think New 52 Superman was as radically different as like people think it is, to be honest with you. Like if you just like read it like in like through like and take away like except that he doesn't have the underwear anymore, like he doesn't
that wasn't
really
that big
feel
of a
like
deal.
Yeah, like I feel like he doesn't like he just feels like a young Superman. Like he feels like young, inexperienced, but he's still like a good dude, right? And I do think that era gets more flack than it deserves, but at the same time, I do understand where you're coming from. That like,
we got some New 52 Defenders. This I think is true. Cyclops got a raw deal thanks to Inferno storyline, and then a lot of I think it was when editorial decided that they were going to have him walk out on his wife. It was hard for the character to recover because it was, and that wasn't Claremont's idea. They made him do that, and then because of that, it was hard for them to recover that character because it's really, I think that totally that era messed with Cyclops forever, and then people just think he's a terrible character. It's kind of like what is it like when Ant-Man like hit his wife? It was like they couldn't recover the character from that. Like it's sometimes that happens, but that's the thing about comics. You could always be like, what? No, that was mind control or something, you know. And you could always just that was an alternate version universe of whatever.
Cyclops is dope, man. I think he's one of my favorite X-Men. Like, and because I grew up in the '90s cartoon show, and to me, like that Cyclops was badass. He was the leader of the X-Men. He was one of my favorite characters.
He's my favorite
character. Movies. Yeah. Oh, nice. Is he, of all comics, he's your favorite character, or just of X-Men?
Oh no, of X-Men.
Yeah. No, he's awesome. He's up there. He's like in my top 5 probably. But like I think the movies did him real dirty. I think the movies did him dirtier than any of the comic storylines. Like,
yeah, and the thing is, he was supposed to have a big role in the third one if the original version had gone through, but then obviously Brett Ratner came in, and suddenly he dies. The first exposure I ever had to the characters was him dying off screen. That was my first time seeing. So I'm like, oh, I guess the Cyclops guy isn't that important, because that was my first.
That was your first X-Men movie.
Yeah, which apparently somehow I liked X-Men, but I was under the impression that these characters must not be that important because they're killing all of them off, and apparently that just like Professor X, Cyclops, Magneto gets his powers taken away, Jean Grey dies again. That movie was messed up.
That movie is like, I don't think it's as horrible as like people say, like in terms of like when you look back. I think it's like a pretty terrible X-Men movie, like for the lore of the X-Men. But
Uh-huh.
as like you're a kid, you don't know anything about it and you saw it,
It's
like
fun.
obviously like yeah, it's fun to a degree, you know.
Yeah.
Feel that way about the Daredevil movie too. That
Oh, I liked it
it's
as a
not
kid. I'm afraid to revisit
yeah.
it because now I'm a comic book fan, and now I have an understanding. Because I revisit scenes from it that I thought were cool as a kid, like the playground scene. I thought was cool as a kid, and then I was rewatching it. I was like, "This is horrendous." Or the scene where she's training and they have the evanescence. I'm like, "This is so tacky."
Yeah.
But
Dude, I
yeah,
mean Green Lantern. That you want to go back to revisit one that does not hold up. It's Green Lantern. I mean, I know it never really held up, but
yeah, I don't think it
that like
ever.
broke my heart. Yeah,
Yeah, you're a big Green Lantern fan, and I know you worked on Green Lantern, right? You worked on
I did. Yeah, yeah,
Was that a fun one? Did you get to draw Kyle Rayner at all? Because I know you
I
got into
did.
Green Lantern in an era post Green Lantern Rebirth, which I do love. But was that an adjustment period, or did you feel like Kyle Rayner was sidelined, or did you feel like they did a good job keeping him the character preserved?
Yeah, I mean, he's my favorite Green Lantern. I did get to draw him, which was awesome. I got to draw him in his real costume, in my opinion, which is like the all black costume with the green gauntlets and the big white patch on the chest, the
Yeah.
one that Daryl Banks designed.
Oh yeah, did you get to
I
talk to
do
those
think
guys by the way at Garden State? Daryl and
I
Ron?
did. I did. Yeah, I did. I met Daryl years ago, and I met Ron for the first time at Garden State. They're both like super cool guys, and like
Mhm.
I obviously so badly want to do like a Kyle Rayner specific story sometime with DC. Like that'd be amazing. But I did get to draw him in my run Hal Jordan the Green Lantern Corps, and I do think they could use him more than they do. I've been saying for years, like he needs like a mini series or a solo series because I think he's just got tons of potential as a character. But I'm glad that they didn't like when Jeff brought back Hal Jordan in 2004 from that in Rebirth. I'm glad he had the sort of foresight to not sideline everyone else, not be like, okay, Hal's the main Green Lantern now, and everyone else is just scrapped away.
Yeah.
Like he actually made like a team book, and like Green Lantern in a lot of ways is like almost like an X-Men book for DC. Like if you approach it in that team book way, and the run that I did on Hal Jordan Green Lantern Corps, Robert Venditti was writing it, and that was very much his approach. Was that it was a 4-member team of Hal, John, Guy, and Kyle, and like that was such a cool like that's such a cool dynamic for that group, and I really hope they use that in the multimedia movies and stuff going forward because I think it's a way to separate Green Lantern from everyone else.
What's cool is it's a power that okay, they all have the same power, right? But it's cool because it's literally their imagination. So that must be a fun one to draw as an artist too, right?
It is and that's why Kyle's the most fun for me because like
he's an artist.
Editorial like at the time I was working on it, they sort of had rules as to like what Green Lanterns could make what. But Kyle was like, he can just make whatever. Like, so like that was like fun to really go nuts with like Kyle's like tech and his like the stuff that he makes.
What were the rules? I'm just curious. Like, cause I know,
like John was
like, more mechanical, right? In weaponry and military.
Yeah. So John was like, and which made him so hard to do because it was like his constructs had to look like they were like could mechanically work and like very architectural. Yeah. And Guy's was like, the thing with Guy was like things had to be very like up close and personal. So it was like things that he would like melee fight with. And then Hal's was like at the time it was stuff that you would find in an airplane, like stuff related to airplanes in some ways, like wrenches or like planes or like just stuff like that. Like, and I mean, obviously they didn't keep that as much, but when I was working on it, that was kind of like a like that thing like Hal's had to be like very like military sort of focus where John's was more like architectural.
Yeah, no, I got it. That's interesting. So it's like, okay, I didn't know that. So I'd have to look at the comics then. Just pay attention to that.
But I think that's something they've used up on in recently because it's really it works in like theory, right? But like I think in a lot of ways it kind of hampers like the visuals to some degree, you know? Because like and my argument was like, well, Hal's around these guys all the time, and John's around these like they'd pick up stuff just
from each other,
like hanging out with aliens.
Yeah, I'm supposed to believe that Hal travels galaxies, but he can only do stuff from his aircraft carrier. So he could travel the entire world, go on missions of the Justice League, go across infinite, but it's only going to be what like I think it's there's like memes I've seen where it's people will say like, oh, like he can create anything, and Hal creates just like baseball bats and like American stereotype stuff, baseball bats, guns, jets, and that's it. Like it's like really.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
That's why I like Kyle, because like I always make Kyle like have like mech armor and like crazy like wings and stuff. You know,
your anime influence. I wonder. Yeah, with that, I wonder if I feel like Kyle Rayner, because he was created in the '90s. That was kind of like an anime boom. I feel like he probably would be into. I could believe that character would be in an anime. Honestly, that would make sense.
Oh,
I wonder who is. What would his? Because what comics do people read in the DC universe?
Marvel.
Yeah, they read Marvel comics. No, that'd be funny though.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
So that's interesting. So we got all. I want to bring this up. So are you writing your own book?
So I'm working on a creator own book now. I'm co-writing it with my friend Jason Matthews.
Okay,
and it is a fantasy sci-fi superhero mix. Think Gundam meets Final Fantasy meets X-Men meets Dragon Ball meets Superman is kind of like my sort of like pitch for it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the elevator pitch for it is on the war-torn land of Impera, a band of elite Soul Striker knights must help the reluctant princess Roxana Sakai learn to wield the power of the Solar Key to save the kingdom of Hikari from the dark clutches of the Principality of Dracul and bring salvation to their world. So it's a big fantasy epic adventure.
And this is right up my alley.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
And I normally it's funny. I'm not a huge fantasy guy, but like because I know there's like fantasy nerds. Like my one friend Irene is a huge fantasy nerd. There's like a difference between like what high fantasy and like because like high fantasy is the kind of stuff they did in Lord of the Rings, right? Where they make entire languages and elves and stuff. Because Final Fantasy, for at least 7, because that's the only one I played part of 15. Honestly, 15 is fun, but it didn't grip me the way 7 did. But 7, they'll just, I feel like it's fantasy in the sense that it's kind of like, yeah, whatever. There's like a house that attacks you. They just kind of do whatever.
Yeah, and that's kind of the vibe that we're going with this too. It's like the fantasy in the sense of like because I love that blending of like modern and sci-fi and classic fantasy. And that's kind of the realm that we're dealing with here. Like there's like people have like normal-ish names. Like it's not like Althalamir and stuff like that. It's like our main characters are Roxy, Axel, Varric, Gwen,
that's easy to remember.
Ethan, yeah. So they're easy names to remember, and like and they have like hover cars, right? And there's mechs in this. So there is a big tech aspect of it, but they also have swords and there's dragons and there's monsters and creatures and stuff that they fight against. So it's if you do like any of those types of things that I mentioned, like I said, like Final Fantasy, Gundam, X-Men, Superman, Dragon Ball Z, Green Lantern, if you like that type of stuff, this is like right up your alley. Because like my idea making this was like I wanted to recapture that feeling I had when I was a kid coming home from school in middle school and watching Toonami, right? And then playing like Final Fantasy 7 or something, like that just bring me back that era of Toonami when like things were just fun and like entertainment was there. Just you just felt jazzed watching. You're just hyped after watching it and reading it, and like that's kind of that feeling that I want to bring back because I feel like that the feeling's missing a little bit, like in my comics. Like
I'm in total agreement. I think there's too much stuff where I just read it and I'm like, this is depressing. Like,
yeah,
I like the bright colors, the flashy designs. And I could see Soulfire's influence in this too. I totally see it. This definitely I like that it's one thing this is a very striking cover. It's got so many characters, but it's still also like simple enough in composition. I don't know. I love it. I love the look of this book. I think it looks amazing. And we obviously the two of us bonded over so I put your stickers on my portfolio, like, so because I'm a huge Final Fantasy 7 fan. Like I did a whole 2-hour video essay on it. So seeing that influence, I'm wondering, so is the big sword, is that possibly an influence? I mean, it's not like they invented the concept of a big sword, but
for sure. Yeah. I mean, Cloud's one of my favorite characters and I just love his visual. Like I just think like that big sword characters, those like Guts from Berserk is another one. Like I just love that visual of the like massive sword. Like it just looks cool, and like I wanted to draw a character that was like my version of like a JRPG kind of like crew, you know,
Oh,
and
I
like
see it.
our yeah, and like our idea going into it was like I wanted like usually when you look at like the JRPG crews, there's sometimes like the goofy or dopey characters, you know, like
Mhm.
and like I didn't want any of them to be that way. Like I wanted this group to be like
No
any one
Kate
of them
Sith.
could any one of them you said it, I didn't. And any one of them could be like the lead of the book. And how we're
Yeah.
doing that through the story is that it truly is an ensemble cast. Like they're all the whole group of protagonists are all going to be like the lead at some point, and it's all going to kind of cycle through all their stories, and they each have their own starting point, they each have their own ending point and their own character arcs they go on, and they all have their own perspective of where they're starting from and what they actually want in this world that they're in. So we put a lot of thought into making the characters feel like real and exciting, and to make whoever you are, no matter who you are, you read this book, one of these characters will be your new favorite character. That was like my goal going into
I
it.
love that. I love that so much. It's kind of like how everyone has a favorite X-Men. Everyone has that. Real quick, Zaid Comics, this is Phil Diaz. Yeah, he was at Heroes Con. He said, yo, VK, had a quick chat with you at Heroes Con and dropped off a copy of my book with you.
Yo, what's up,
So
man?
he did the Lost Pages. I don't know if you remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. I haven't gotten a chance to read it yet. I've got a big stack on my nightstand that I still have to get through. I'm very excited to read it. I really appreciate you giving me a copy.
Yeah, man. And the read piles get so crazy. I put my generally I put my crowdfunded stuff in toward the top of it. So like I've been close to finishing Claremont's X-Men run for like years, because every time I'm like either working on my comic or someone's like, Vaughn, I need feedback on my book, or which I'm happy to do, but you know, or I get a crowdfunded book. And the thing is, these crowdfunded books, a lot of them are great because they're just pure passion. I'm not saying that you can't create good stuff for the big two ever. Like there's stuff I just bought today from big two, but you can often tell when there's it's a job versus when it's like a passion project. Like this sound like everything you describe is just, this seems like a blend of just everything you love. And I love that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And Andrew Dahlhaus is coloring it. He's a phenomenal colorist. I think he's the best colorist in the industry. He's so good.
He's up
and
there.
We got we got 8 covers all together. I did 5 of them. And then we got Brett Booth, who did a cover. Joe Benitez did a cover, and Sue Lee did a cover. And so we have all those available too up there.
Joe Benitez, he's the one that finished off the original Soulfire, right?
He did, yeah, and he did. That's his cover right there, the yellow one, and
gorgeous.
And he did Lady Mechanica is his creator own book. That's really dope.
Right.
I'm actually gonna be having a cover up on. I did a cover for him that will be in one of his upcoming issues. So that'd be pretty cool.
See, what I like about these covers, they're all detailed, right? But they're all striking. Like this one, all these, and I like it because all of these could be a main cover, and I'd be interested in the book. Like, oh my god, like that's one.
The Brett Booth, yeah.
This one's Brett Booth. This is good. Yeah, Dollhouse's stuff. He's been doing. I've seen him do some X-Men stuff. I know, like, because I see him everywhere, crowdfunding, big two. This guy, I mean, and good for him, like his artwork is fantastic. I see him everywhere. Let's see.
Yeah, he's super in demand. He's like I said, he's my favorite colorist in the industry.
I can see
he's so dynamic.
Yeah, I think a lot of colorists, because I remember, you know, I would make sure I got my artists, and I was very picky because colorists, even though there's good ones, they have to be able to blend with your style.
For sure.
And also there's a lot of colors that I think will like, and I guess you could, I don't know if it's the same with inkers, but at least colors that'll like almost like draw over it or like change the style completely. What I like about this is it feels like it just enhances the energy because I've seen your black and white art that's already there. And I love that.
Yeah.
Like all your line work is still clear. This one, for example, like this, okay, like, or look at how many sources of light there is, and it's just so easy to read. That's not like,
it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. Like Andrew's, he's a wizard for sure.
I don't know. Like I can't even, I can't draw in general. And then this one's gorgeous too. You know what? And reminds me of like, so Final Fantasy VII, like I love RPG character designs because like every character, you could just tell something about them from just the way they're drawn. Like, you know, Cloud has that thing on his shoulder. okay, this guy must be military. Although I do wonder, I don't know why he wears a sweater. But whatever. But then it's like Tifa. You're like, oh yeah, I could buy that. She works at a bar, but you can tell she punches. Aerith is clearly a mage. Barrett with the gun for like those character designs by Tetsuya Nomura are just brilliant. Character design I find is like one of the most important things. Like the fact is you could draw all these dynamic poses, but if these characters weren't interesting looking, it would be tough. Like I don't even know any of these characters' names, but every one of their faces is distinct. Every one of their outfits is distinct. These are all people with swords and gold armor, but each one looks distinct. And I don't know. It looks awesome.
Thanks, man. Thank you. That was definitely like part of like the design element that I wanted to put in was that like you could tell like what they're about based on like what their armor looks like. Because in this world, Soul Strikers are this elite line of soldiers for the Kingdom of Hikari, which is this kingdom that's like based off the power of solar power and like sunlight and solar ki, and so all the Soul Strikers make their own armor and they'll have their own sword that's like sort of fitted toward them and their personality, and like that was something that I wanted to really highlight in the designs, that you could get like what each guy was about based on like just what they looked like.
I love that kind of stuff. It's kind of, again, going back to the Green Lanterns, it seems like a weird thing. But one of the things, even though I need to read that whole Jeff Johns run, I love Rebirth. But one of the things that I liked about the Green Lanterns is each one had an outfit that was like saying something about them. So like, or like, even if it wasn't that, it just was distinct. So Jon Stewart's outfit was more black. It was like this. And then you had Kyle Rayner's was the one that looked, I don't know. I assume it seems like you're not as crazy about the redesign where they made him look more like the other. Because I kind of like the old look too, where he looked nothing like anything before. Yeah. And I think they should have. I understand why, because they bring the core back, why they changed it. But I do think that old look, it gave him like a distinct identity, and I kind of wish they kept it. Then there's like Guy Gardner's got like the with the jacket. I love that. I think those are so cool. Or even the original 7 Justice League members, just in silhouettes you could tell who's who. I love that. That was one thing I remember hearing about, is that you need to know who your character is just based on minimalist or silhouette stuff.
Silhouette, for sure. And that's like, I think like hair design is a big part of that.
Oh my God,
at least for my characters, like I wanted to make sure like one of our main characters, Varric, he's the guy with the white hair and the big sword. Like he's got a very distinct like pointy cowlick in the back of his hair that sticks up, and like Axel's like braids. His braids go in a very certain distinct way. So like if you just black the characters out, like I think you can be able to tell who's who based on just their silhouettes.
Yeah, and I remember actually, probably too much, but my main artist, I was like, I wanted my character to have a surfer look, and I just had him do so many different looks for the hair, because it's almost like, real hair is fine, don't get me wrong, but I'll give me that crazy comic book or anime hair, like Cloud Strife. You just do a face shot and you know who he is just based on the spiky hair immediately.
He's like one of the best designs like ever, like because it's so unique but simple at the same time.
And it's interesting because it's an over, like even here, like there's so many big anime guys. In Smash Brothers, they joke about how there's like so many sword guys. Fire Emblem especially. But what I love about like Cloud, I had, before I played the game, because I knew who Cloud was, I think I was so fascinated by how brilliant that character is written, because I was always just like, because for most of the game he's just kind of like the edgy anime sword boy he's reserved, and that's it. And then it's like you find when they do these reveals later on, it's like I think he's one of the most brilliant characters. Like he's one of my favorite characters of all time by the end of that game, because they take him in such a direction where they start him off. He's this generic, I'm an ex-soldier, but I'm shy, but also I get every girl, and then they take him in the direction where it's like, it's so subversive, but not in the like, hey,
not in a crappy way.
Yeah, not like I hate the kind of subversive where it's like, and you were an idiot for thinking this, where it's like,
or like the subversive where it's like The Boys is this, where it's like it takes the idea of super. Yeah, but so it takes the idea of Superman being like, no, this is why Superman's shitty. Is like, and they make like
And
this
then
like,
you like him? What are you dumb?
yeah,
Yeah, like I hate
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and like, and that is a style of subversion that's definitely popular for sure. But like, that's definitely not what
It'll
Cloud
fade
is,
out.
right? Cloud, yeah, like the thing with Cloud is like, when I try to explain like to people like why I think he's so popular and like why I like him so much is that he's like that blend of he's the aspirational type of character, but also a very relatable type of character, and he's like both kind of smushed together. And there's very few characters that are like that, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's why he's like so unique.
No, I'm in total agreement. You know, like when I was analyzing, breaking down the character, I'm so glad. Like even if it wasn't like take off that well, like just writing about the character made me appreciate the writing, and honestly made me reflect on it with my own, because I was like why did I care so much? And I started breaking it down, like to do a video essay, and I was like going beat by beat, and it's so meticulously done. When you really break down the story beats, that they want you to feel this way at this time and this way at this way. And so every time they want you to feel a certain way, they hit that stone. And it's just, it's amazing. And that's, I guess, what great writing is. So you said you're co-writing this. Did you ever, because I know you studied art, did you ever like study writing in that same way? Or
I mean, in college, yeah, we did a lot of courses in that, and like when I started on this whole process, I obviously like looked into like story structure and like making sure everything's on par with like how things are supposed to be. And my writing partner Jason is like really deep into all this as well. So, and a lot of it is sort of like the stories I've been making up my whole life, and like kind of like sort of like putting them through this new lens through this particular story, and like and talking about like the things in the world that I want to talk about, but also like trying to keep things fun and entertaining, you know, and like and just kind of blend it all together. And like my experience with comics as an artist, like I think people don't realize this, but like a lot of what we do as artists is kind of like writing, like even when we're not the writers, because we are breaking down so much of the script and like changing like, you know, like pacing and stuff. And like sometimes sometimes scripts are very tight, but sometimes they're very loose, you know, they're very open-ended to like what we're able to bring pacing wise. So it's been just years of all of that. And and I'm hoping people dig it. And like obviously it's something where both me and Jason are working hard at to try to get better and better at. And I really like this first issue like a lot. And the people we sent it to seem to give us really good feedback on it. So I'm really excited for people to check it out.
Yeah, I'm excited to read it. How far along is it?
So the first issue it's 52 pages of story, 64 pages total. All of the 52 pages have been drawn, and they're all with Andrew right now to be colored. And my letterer is also like Josh Reed is our letterer on this project, and he is lettering them as we go. So we're hoping to have everything done and shipped out by December. That's the plan, is to have everything shipped out by December. Obviously, crazy stuff can happen with like schedules, and if Andrew gets super booked up, we might have to be pushed back. But like I've given him enough lead time that I think we'll be able to hit that. And Jason and I started writing issue 2. So we're in issue 2 and 3 actually. Like Jason started outlining issue 3. So we're going to be we're hoping to, if all goes according to plan, we'll get this one shipped out, and then we'll have the crowdfunder for book 2 next year. So we're gonna hopefully keep rocking and rolling.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Phil says, VK, have you ever heard that you look like Ninja? Also, how do you feel about that?
Who's Ninja?
The streamer. I don't know. He's making a joke. Phil's a resident comedian around here. No, gotcha. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, so it's mostly done then. And did Andrew color all of these?
So he colored all my covers and Brett Booth's, and then the Sue Lee covered her own, and Beth Sotelo covered Joe Benitez, and on Brett's cover, Andrew Adelso Corona inked him. Yeah, and this is our Chase cover. It's the Sexy Roxy Chase cover. That's like a shout out to like the '90s pinup like Baywatch kind of posters we had on our walls. So that's available in a cover pack with, if you get all my covers, you can get that cover, and then if you get all 8 covers, you can get that cover, but you can't get that one on its own. It's a Chase variant. It's also available as a foil cover. Yeah, we have A, B, and H are available as foil covers too.
And how long do you want to run this series? You mentioned this whole grand scope, because this seems like something that's going to go for a while.
Yeah, we're hoping to go for a while. I mean, we've got two different plans right now. We've got one for 6 books and one for 12 books. And as we go on, we're going to see like, where we can, depending on like how successful it is, how much time we have, the bandwidth, I mean, ideally I would just love to go with this forever.
Yeah.
But we got to see if we can build the audience for it. But yeah, we definitely really like we've got a big plan for it. A lot for sure. Yeah.
I think this.
If you scroll down,
this
I was
is
gonna say, if you scroll
so many niches. I could see it going for a while. I could see this really taking off.
Thanks, man. Thank you. Yeah, if you scroll down, you can see interior pages that are colored and lettered. So if people want to check out, like there we go. Yeah.
Yeah, you already sold me with the covers.
Yeah. So this is the interiors that they're going to look like. So I really want to make sure the interiors match the covers and that it all looked like this is the experience you're going to get reading the book. Like we want to put as high quality as possible.
Crap, dude.
Thank you.
This is amazing. Wow.
Thanks, man.
I'm just like, there's so much detail in all this. Okay, so I like that. So you got this, the splash page here, and then right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One of the things I started obsessing over when I started writing transition to comics is I'd be like, am I writing too much? Am I writing too little? And I'd look at these different pages, and it's like, of course, if I look at different comics, there'll be different things. Because the 90s, I feel like, actually, that's not true. Michael Turner, I feel like, did a fair amount of.
He did, yeah. Him and Joe Matter, two of my favorite artists, and they both were able to, which was something I'm really trying to do, is they're both able to make pages look big and splashy while also having sometimes like 8-9 panels on the page. Yeah, and it's a way of just like balancing the story.
Because I was looking at some of because he would have a lot of double page spreads or whatever, but there were pages in Witchblade where I'd be like, this doesn't look like a lot. Okay, like, all right, I just found one in do you have the Michael Turner this one, the Michael Turner Creations?
Which one? I do have it, but not in my room right here.
Yeah, that's why it's good to. I just my setup where it's on my shelf, so I always just have everything. It's
yeah.
But like, for example, like I just flipped to this. Like this, doesn't look like there's that many. Maybe it's because the book is gigantic. That might be part of it. But
no, there's a lot of panels there. Yeah.
I mean, look at how many, and it doesn't feel crowded. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. What the hell? And it looks like there's plenty of space on the page still. It's just,
and it still looks big. It still looks like big and splashy and like in your face. You know what I mean? It doesn't look like a page that's like crammed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I gotta read, because I'll be honest, part of why I never finished Soulfire was because I was like, I can't picture, even though I did like the Benitez thing, I was like, I can't picture anyone other than Michael Turner. But now that like you drew it, I might have to finish. Did you pick up immediately after Michael Turner, or how?
No, I was volume 5. I know. Do you know Jason Fabok?
Oh yeah,
the DCRs. Yeah, he did volume 3.
Holy crap!
Yeah,
okay,
that's like some of his earliest work. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Mike DeBalfo. It was Jason Fabok did volume 3, Mike DeBalfo did volume 4, and I did volume 5. And volume 2 was Marcus Toe, I think.
Hail the Lord says, love the art in this comic. I'm a 90s lover with art, so this is right up my alley. I got to hit you up later for a review for the comic, dude. Yeah.
Thank you, man. Much appreciated. I see you on Twitter a lot reposting my stuff, so thank you so much for spreading the word and getting the word out there. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, he always is doing that. He's always sharing my stuff too. I don't know which cover. I mean, because normally I just do the main cover. This one I love too. And I feel like this is going to be one of those where it's like, after I've read the book, I'll be like, oh man, I like this cover. I wish I had done more with this character. Man, and that's great. And I like what I also like is this one, when you do this many covers, it's okay to have the pinups, but I like that so many of these, like these look like they'd be iconic covers. Is this an homage to something, or am I
not that I'm aware of? No.
Okay, Because it looks like an iconic look. I don't know, like it just has an iconic look. This one this one isn't either, because they have iconic looks to them.
Oh, thanks, man. Thank you. Yeah, that was something I was really trying to go for. I mean, not that I'm aware of. I mean, like I just kind of came up with the ideas on my own. Like that one with the moon is actually the first cover I did for the whole book. And it's funny, we brought Final Fantasy VII before, but like because I've been working on this story for like years, and I had gotten recently a couple years ago the Ultimania archive for Final Fantasy, where it's like the art for 7, 8, and 9. And like there's some of those like illustrations of like before it was a game, just like concept art, and there was one of like Cloud and Aerith like sitting on like a rock, and I was like, oh, look, this romantic kind of cover, and I was like, oh, I definitely want to do something like that for my book, like kind of like a romantic kind of like cover. And that was originally going to be the cover, the main cover for the book was that first one with the moon, because it's the first cover I did, and the princess is heavily based on my wife, so like it's definitely like for me it's like it means something special. So like but that was the first one I did, and like I just wanted that, like I wanted it to be romantic, but also like I wanted like to be badass looking at the same time, like with the big sword and everything. So like that was the first one that kind of like set the tone for for covers going forward. And then so I did all those covers, like pretty much all of them, and then my one friend was like, I did that one, the like not the main one, like all the ones down where I did all those covers because I wanted to highlight all the characters. And my one friend was like, you should have the main cover really have everyone on it. And so like I was like, really, you think so? And like so I actually the main cover is the last one I did, and it was like I want to do like a Star Wars-y type like if everyone should go on like a movie poster, like the kind of movie poster they don't make anymore, where there's like a montage of all the characters doing something cool. And that one turned out to be the most popular cover, which is pretty cool.
It's a lot of people back main cover, honestly, because it's the main cover, but even still, I don't know. There's all these covers are great, and the thing is, the floating heads, like people meme on it, but if you do something good with it like this, like even then each head is in a different position. It's not like I'm trying to think, like the Dune poster was so generic, but like this one there's like so much design to it. I remember you mentioned that you're pro Cloud and Tifa, and your wife is Cloud and Aerith, right? Is that an agreement?
That's it's funny. Yeah, I think that the actual story, I think if you look at the story, and I saw you did a big 2-hour video on it, but like I didn't watch the whole thing. I did watch part of it though, and I props for the Cloud armor. You were wearing the Cloud armor. Oh yeah. I showed my wife, and I was like, he's like, this guy's awesome. He's wearing the suit. And she's like, oh, that's so cool. But yeah, I think like the story is like Cloud is like you meet Aerith in the game, like you're playing as Cloud, you meet Aerith in the game, and the idea is that they start have feelings for each other, and then she dies, and then his memory comes back, and you realize that the reason he did everything in his whole life was because he loved Tifa.
Yeah, that's
like, yeah, and so like, I mean, technically, like they're both love interests, right? But like, I think at the overall end of the game, it's definitely Cloud and Tifa together. Like,
yeah, that's what I think. And this isn't me diminishing Aerith's importance, because she's arguably one of the most important characters of the game, arguably in the scope of the story, the most important, because it literally starts and ends on a shot of Aerith, right? Yeah. But I would argue that she, in terms of the relationship stuff, is a means to an end because the whole thing is she's meant to bring Cloud out of his shell, which eventually gives him the confidence to find like his truth, because she's always like there's a real Cloud hidden in him, and then ultimately I feel like she brings out the best because she's also Tifa's best friend. I feel like she's meant to serve both of them towards each other. Plus she has Zack waiting for her, so it's not like I mean, she died, which is sad, but she had it's not like because in my opinion also, just I feel like that's the more fulfilling story for both characters, because then everyone should be happy, because Aerith gets Zack and Cloud gets Tifa, and that's it. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's actually exactly how it was written. You know what I mean? Like that's like if you play the whole game and see it all through. I know my wife just likes Aerith because she just likes her like aesthetic and her personality, like the pink, because like the girl, like the very feminine aesthetic with the pink and the dresses and stuff, and she just loves her like bubbly personality. And we just literally in remake or rebirth, I just literally did the date scene like a couple nights ago.
Oh, who did you get?
I genuinely, as I played the game, I did all the things I could for both Aerith and Tifa. because like my wife was like, do everything right for Aerith, but I was like, I also want to do things right for Tifa. So like I literally was like, whatever the game's gonna give me is what's gonna give me, and I ended up getting Tifa. And
I
so
thought you were
like,
gonna say Red 13 because a lot of people did.
no, really?
Yeah, a lot of people.
Well, I even
because he has a lot of
funny,
side quests, so a lot of people felt screwed over.
Yeah, I know, but I made
Tifa.
sure with Red 13 and Barrett and who's the other one? Yuffie, like on their when they ask questions to give them like the crappy answers because I didn't want like a mistake. Like
it's so funny. People say like, "Oh, video games would turn people violent," and it's funny. I could do these murdering sprees in GTA, but then it's like I don't want to. If I say something mean to a character in a game, I feel bad.
Yeah,
I'll be like, "Oh, I don't like your food," and then they'll be like, "Sad." Like I hate that. I remember I sometimes because it comes up fast. I'm like, and then I say the wrong thing, and then the Cloud's like gives a snarky response. I'm like, I didn't mean to say that. Or sometimes it comes out in a tone where it's like, that is not how I thought he was going to say that line.
Well, there's like, because I got the first half. Nice. Did you get to like the good one where like there's like
they kiss?
Yeah. And so, but that to me proved to me, I was like, wait, so is it stacked toward Tifa? Because like, I literally did everything for Aerith. Like there's a one part on the beach where like you have to pick who you fight with between Aerith and Tifa, and I picked Aerith because my wife was like, pick Aerith, and I was like, okay, I'll pick it, but like I still ended up getting Tifa. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I was biased toward. It's funny. The first time I played through the game, I was kind of just going with whatever, and whoever I played under the impression that whoever I think ends up together by the end of the game ends up together. I was, even though I liked Tifa better, it was like if the writers had won me over on Aerith, that's it. You know, it wasn't about who. I generally, even though RPGs are supposed to be like role playing, I generally try to go towards what I think the creators want.
It's supposed to be.
It's the same reason why I name Link, right? I never name him Vaughn. Yeah. I always name him Link because that's what I want. Hojo, he's a great creator. Said, just back. Good thing you did a second chance. I forgot to fulfill out my Kickstarter survey. Told you I'd get you, Ken. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, it's a tough one. I know the Kickstarter survey. People forget that.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Hojo. I really appreciate it. I still haven't sent out my surveys yet for the Soul Share campaign, just because we're so far out. But I will be sending the surveys out for all those who back on Kickstarter. Surveys should be coming out in July, if not maybe August. But I'm planning on like in the next couple weeks getting all the surveys out. But we're still so far out that like from shipping that like I don't want to run into a problem where like people's like addresses change or something. So that's kind of why I've waited on sending them out.
Gotcha. It looks great. And
but much appreciated, Hojo. Thank you so much.
That's good. So you got a few new backers. Let's play the trailer real quick. I haven't played the trailer yet. Hold on. Why is YouTube doing this to me? Ridiculous. What is this, reboot? This show keeps popping up everywhere. Reboot. I guess I gotta watch it. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, big shout out to my co-writer Jason Matthews for editing that together. He definitely works some magic. So he did a great job editing
The
that.
one part right here with the logo is so cool. How did you animate that, or who animated that?
So that was our logo designer, Mark Roslin. He does all the design work for Aspen Comics actually. And he did our logo for us, and he actually made the little animations of that and the Neon Frontier at the beginning too. Like he did it with the sort of think and everything. And when we got that back, it was like we were like, oh my god, this looks so good. So yeah, Mark is an absolute genius when it comes to logo design.
I love it, and I love that it's a long title, very anime, but it's like. So Battle Chronicles, the full title is Battle Chronicles Soul Striker, right? But it reads so smooth because it just the way it does. It's so dynamic. It's easy. It's easy to read.
Thank you. That really means a lot, man. Because I wanted to get because I like how mangas and anime do have those longer Mobile Suit Gundam, Neon Genesis Evangelion, Vision of Escaflowne,
Battle Angel Alita. What are some
My Hero Academia,
Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Insane. Which I remember it was a bit where I started going through on stream just these insane, and they keep getting longer too, and more specific. I love it.
I saw a really crazy one on Crunchyroll. It was something like how to be a warrior in a dungeon, or something. When you're tired
I'm
or something.
Stuck in another dimension, and this girl keeps hitting on me. It'll be like anime.
Yeah, very funny.
I'm looking some up right now. All right, longest anime titles ever. Let's see these. I can't understand why my husband is saying. I can't understand what my husband is saying. Okay, that's to the point. Some of these are just insane. I'm a villainess, so I'm taming the final boss. These are nuts. These titles are nuts. Anyway,
I wonder if in Japanese they read the same way. I'm sure in Japanese
they sound
they sound more they sound more colloquial to their language.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I mean that's why they change certain things. But yeah, I love these long titles are so funny to me. I don't know if I'd ever watched. I think 4 words isn't that bad. Well, Soul Striker is is 3 is 1 word, right?
Yeah, it's one word with a hyphen. Yeah, so.
I like it too because when I looked at it, I was like, oh, SOL, as in the sun. It's playing.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. That's totally what SOL. Yeah. And so the idea with the Soul Strikers is that in this kingdom of Hikari, in this world, there's a war between humans and these shadow-dwelling creatures called Fomorians. So think vampires, gargoyles, werewolves, kaiju, just these sentient monsters that have sort of their own race and their own society, right? And they're at war with each other. And the Fomorians are immortal, for all intents and purposes. They're stronger, they're faster. They eat and kill humans, they hunt humans, and their only real weakness is sunlight. They can't go in the sun. And so left to their own devices, the Fomorians would completely dominate the planet. But the humans, through the kingdom of Hikari, the royal family of Hikari, the Sakai dynasty, have this special connection. That rock that's in the background is this thing called the King's Rock that emanates this power called solar ki. So it's kind of like ki, Ki, your energy ki. It's the solar power that the king's family, the firstborn of every generation, becomes the key bearer and can wield this key. And through it, they can manipulate it, they can channel it, and they use it to sort of power their city and power their weapons. And because of it, they've sort of taken over the planet. They've kind of put the Fomorians. They're very distant. The Fomorians are very disenfranchised in this war. They've been because of this weapon, because of this resource of the solar key that the Hikarians have. They've been pretty much kicked. Their asses have been kicked for centuries, and they live out in the barren wastelands of the world, and they live in squalor as these disparate tribes. And the Soul Strikers, these elite soldiers, their sun blades are the swords that are bonded to them. So the king is able to use a solar key and actually ignite the swords and power them with the solar energy, and also bonding it to their soul. So they their soul. So they can. Each Soul Striker gets a little taste of that solar power, so they're strong and fast and have just a little bit of that energy, and that's how they've been able to fight against these Fomorians for so many years. And so that's the setup of where we begin. And in the Fomorians, there's whispers of this like new power. There's this new Fomorian named Baelor, who's this warlord, like think like a Genghis Khan type, who's gathering different tribes together and gathering them all under his banner called the Principality of Dracul, which is this bloody moon is their logo. And he has this mysterious power that he's able to combat the solar key. Like he has an energy power that's able to fight against the solar key and actually nullify it. And so this is where the Fomorians are rallying behind, and where this war that's been very one-sided for centuries is now kind of the Fomorians have as feeling very disenfranchised. They're now in a place to sort of reclaim what they think is theirs, and so that's where our story kind of kicks off. And each side, there's a lot of shades of gray, like because from the Hakaran side, they want to protect their people. They don't want Fomorians to be hunting and killing humans, and they want to keep their kingdom safe. And the Fomorians feel like they've been shafted for centuries, and they want to take back what's theirs. So it's very much shades of gray for both sides. And how our main group of heroes, where this war erupts, is like not everyone on the Hakaran side is good, not everyone on the Fomorian side is bad, and like our main group of heroes have to sort of navigate like, what do you do when the institutions you've been fighting for so many years, like maybe they've been doing crappy things, and like how do you forge a new path forward to actually bring peace for everyone and to do what's right for everyone and to bring hope for everyone. That's kind of what the story's about. It's about recognizing the similarities that we all have, and like not the differences, and sort of like coming together, and like you're stronger together than you are apart. Like that kind of that idea, because I think there's too much hate in the world and in real life, and like that's kind of like I wanted to make a story that's very inspiring and like hopeful for people.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. That's why, there's so much I just dipped out of, because it just felt like it was written from a place of like, everyone has a reason to be angry. But one of the reasons why I like superheroes, or even just these stories, is like, for example, Final Fantasy VII, right? Barrett doesn't start making a difference really until he stops letting even though he has every reason to be mad at Shinra, they all do. There's that moment where he reconciles and he's like, maybe blowing up the reactors was the wrong call. And I love stories like that, where they're more about unifying and how do we be better than our enemy. And it's just refreshing to hear you say that it's like, yeah, and there's a lot of hate in the world. There's a lot of whatever, but here's something that is bringing light. Like literally these characters are bringing light. And I love also the fact that it's solar, that it's the play on words. Sometimes I get that, where I literally come up with the play on words, and then I think of 50 different applications of it. Is that how it worked with you? Or did Soul Striker come after that fact?
Oh, so the original title was going to be Sunblade. They're originally going to be called Sunblades, and their swords are called Sunblades, and they were called Sunblades. And like when we were writing it, it was just getting very confusing, because their swords are called Sunblades, but they're also called Sunblade. And then I was like, Sunblades also, I don't want to say generic, but it's like it's two words that exist in real life already, right? And like we tried very hard to come up with like we were talking about like Gundam, for example, is like that's like a made up word, but you get what it's about, right? And I was trying very hard to come up with a word that like blended solar and like weapon of some kind, like soul sword, and like we came up with striker with like a Y, with a cool spelling with the Y, and like the idea that they're striking fear into their enemies, but they're also like bringing hope. They're striking sunlight into the world, and that's like the idea behind the name. And like hope, and like that, and like you're right, they're like literally have the power of sunlight, is like that's what their energy that they have. So definitely like optimism and hope is a big theme running through it.
Absolutely. And it shows just based on the cover. And I'm excited to this book is definitely one I'm excited to check out. It's very rare. Often I'll just look at the main cover and I just back that, especially if it's by the same artist. But like, I'm actually trying to figure out which one I want. I might get more than one. We'll see. But everyone should back this. We're so to 1,000. The good thing is we brought it. So we got one new backer on this stream, but let's see how far we can go. And are you going in demand with this, or are you staying?
Yeah, we're going in demand with it. Yeah, we're gonna have it. Yeah, we're gonna have it available pretty much up until we ship things out and we start the second campaign. But yeah, get the orders in. If this is something you do want back, please get the orders in sooner rather than later, so we know how many to print, and so that we're properly prepared when we're printing. And we also have when you back, there's 2 add-on things that you can do. So this is a much more stripped down campaign from our Kickstarter. We had tons of merch that was available and original art and everything. On this one, we stripped it down, but there are still 2 cool add-ons that you can do. There's a sticker pack, which is 5 of the main covers of character stickers. They're going to be about the same kind of style of the ones that you showed of the Final Fantasy ones I did.
Okay, I was going to say, yeah, I recommend your stickers.
They're very water resistant. I've got one on my water bottle right here. It's my gym bottle. It's been tons of water's been splashed on for months now, and it's still very adhesed on there. It's stuck on there really good. So we're gonna have 5 character stickers as a pack, and we're also having a merch set of apparel. So like a t-shirt and a hat combo. So it's gonna be like a snapback, like baseball hat with the Soul Striker logo, the sigil on the front. And then we're going to have the t-shirt is cover B with the moon. And we're getting them done through a apparel manufacturer who works with like punk rock bands and stuff. So it's going to be like the people who like make merch for like bands and stuff. So it's going to be like legit quality. It's not going to be like, we're ironing out ourselves. It's going to be like legit, like cool, high quality merch. So if either of those sort of things you're interested in, please check it out. And please check out the book. We've got, like I said, 8 covers. 3 foils available. I think they're virgin too. They don't have the title on their virgin foil covers. And I think that's everything that's available on the Indiegogo.
That's awesome. These look great, and it was a smart marketing decision, by the way, to make this where you have to get all the covers. That was a very good marketing decision.
Yeah, and I want to make
say there's no logo. You put it down there, and that's nice.
Yeah. There's I want to make like a cool chase variant, because like action figures are like a thing where they do like chase variants and stuff. And I just want to make like a black and white or something. I want to make like a cool, unique one. And like I always did like those like the sexy Aspen covers and stuff. I drew a ton of them for Aspen. So like, and I always thought they were cool. And I think Roxy's a great looking character, so I just wanted to have something. I always like the idea of like the cape. Like I had this idea for the cape, one of the soldiers' capes to be wrapping around her. So.
Oh, yeah.
Andrew colored it so well to make it look see-through, almost like it'll make it look like it's sheer. He did such a great job on the colors on that.
His colors are unbelievable. He's
amazing, absolutely amazing. Yeah,
colorists. I think I like the trend of adding colorists to the covers. I think colorists don't get enough credit. I guess you could argue literally, and even lettering can break it. I mean, the lettering looks solid too. I love the lettering, the little borders around it. It seems like lettering are unsung heroes. Letters.
Yeah, Josh reads lettering our book, and he's an Aspen and DC Comics veteran. And he's absolutely amazing, and he came up with all these cool different, like he put a lot of thought into making the boxes for each character unique and like how they look. So if you go to the lettering, like the Soul Strikers, anyone who's powered with the solar key has a yellow kind of halo around their word bubble. And that was a cool idea to like just pop their dialogue so you know who's talking, like even if they're off panel. That was a very cool touch that he did.
Yeah, my letterer and I had conversations about that. Because I liked in Batman Hutch, for example, that characters would have different like Batman would have the blue, and then different characters have different. All right, Josh, holy crap, this guy's done a lot. Okay. I always like looking up, and Andrew Dohaus definitely know that guy. I mean, he's going to be keeping busy. Good for you for being able to get him.
Yeah. Oh, he's a really good friend of mine.
Yeah, I was about to say, never mind that. You're probably your friend. Yeah, never mind. It's not me.
We talk on because we worked at DC for years, and we talk on the phone like at least like twice a week. So he's a really good friend, and like. And he's, like I said, I think he's the best colorist in the industry. And something I was really wanted to like show about this book was that it is, from all intents and purposes, the most indie of indie projects you can possibly do, in the sense that me and Jason, like we have no outside funding. Like we put all of our own money into it, and then we raise what we need to raise on Kickstarter. And so we're literally handling everything ourselves, like in terms of logistics and stuff. Like there's no team of like 4 or 5 people that handling like everything else. It's like literally just us. And so from that perspective, this is like the most like garage rock kind of like punk rock version of being a comic, but I wanted it to feel and look like the most big budget mainstream, like summer movie version of a comic you possibly could get. So like when you get it, this is going to feel like oh, this could hang on the book on the shelves next to Batman Hush, or next to Soulfire, or next to the Ghost Machine books, or like next to like Avengers versus X-Men, or whatever big comic that you think you hold as like your big mainstream book. Like I want this to feel and look and read like a big mainstream book, like right there with it.
It does. I mean, that's awesome. All the mainstream guys coming in and doing your own thing and putting all your own resources into it. Because this book, I was like, holy crap, this is just. I mean, obviously a lot of professional stuff out there, but I'm like, man, they're churning out some great stuff in the indies, and I mean, it shows. And I'm a similar way. You know, I'm like crowdfunding is almost more like a pre-order for me. Like my book was funded, right? It was more of a pre-order and seeing how far we can kind of get, you know, seeing how much hype. It's marketing too. People don't realize like a lot of this crowdfunding stuff is also doubled as a marketing, or you could say, oh, I got this many. I mean, the fact that people are buying this product before I would buy it if it's on the shelf, but I already want it. I already know I want it. And
Thanks, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, this looks great. And the fact that the next one is coming out shows A, confidence in it, B, you know, you're ready for the next one. And yeah, I love that. So everyone, make sure you back this book. Where's the best way for everyone to reach out to you?
Yeah, so Indiegogo. Oh, so Indiegogo is where the project's at. It's called Battle Chronicles Soul Striker Book 1 Second Chance Campaign. And yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at VKenMarion and on X at VKMarion. I'm also on TikTok. I think it's at VKMarion, but that's literally just reposting like stuff that I post in the other ones. And yeah, anyone who backs out, please tell everyone you know that likes this kind of stuff, like anime or like 90s style comics or just fun comic book superhero comics. Like just let everyone know that you know that this book's available and that we're making something really cool. And everyone who did back, thank you so much. Like from the bottom of my heart, thank you from me, from Jason, from Andrew, from Josh. Like we're super stoked about this. Like so excited, and we could not do this without you guys, without your support. So seriously, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much.
Of course, man, and you earned it, man. You definitely earned it. And you're welcome to come back anytime. This is a lot of fun. It was nice meeting a fellow Final Fantasy VII nerd. Seems like we're around the same spot in the game. So I've been once, because I did all the side quests, which you don't have to do. Like Queen's Blood, everyone was telling me you have to do the whole thing. It was not worth it.
Really? Oh, because I want to do everything.
Well, all right.
Because I didn't do all the side quests yet. I didn't do all the side quests yet because I wanted to. But yeah, no, because I got up to the point with the date, and then like my wife was just like, just go on the date. Who cares about the side quests? Who you get is who you get. So like I do have to finish out. Like once those extra side quests kind of open up, like I still have to do those. But as I was playing through them, I did everything. But I didn't do the Queen's Blood one yet.
All right, so I did all of them. They were. It's a lot of work, but I probably, if you were ever interested, I'm gonna definitely be once I'm finishing, because apparently it's a very controversial ending. I'd love to get a panel and just talk about the game when it's done. If you're ever interested,
dude, I would love to do that.
All right, awesome.
Sure,
so once we finish the game, we'll do that. All right, cool. And thank you so much. Everyone follow. By the way, I was wondering, because VK, is that what you prefer to be called? Or
oh yeah, so my first name is literally the letter V. My grandpa's name was Vincent, and his nickname was V. And so my dad thought that would be cool to like name me V. And so Ken's my middle name. So
because I called you Ken at Garden State, and I was like, wait, that's not his name.
Yeah, so Ken is my middle name, but
okay, V. All right, gotcha. V.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for having me, man. I really appreciate the time and talking and stuff. It was a ton of fun.
Of course. Thank you for coming on. And as we close out, I'm going to play the trailer for my comic. And make sure to check out his book. I want to see this book succeed. I mean, it already is, but I want to see it succeed more. I want it in my hands soon. I know it's going to be worth the wait and worth the money. So definitely check it out. Peace out. Have a good one. Tomorrow night, I'll be doing 2 interviews. One is 2 people actually that were at Garden State. One is there was this horror author who's across from me, Manx. You know, he's going to be coming on my show, and then Buzz, who did my last cover. I don't know. Did you get to talk to Buzz?
Yeah, I've met Buzz many times.
Hysterical
Buzz is awesome.
guy.
He's a great
artist. Buzz is going to be coming on my show tomorrow, so everyone tune in for that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great one. Let's play the trailer as we head out. When the whole world was dragged into World War III, brave men like my father fought on the front lines. And they weren't alone. That was 20 years ago. Now it's up to us to carry on their legacy. And every so often, the earth from which we come gives way for something new, something greater to be born, and with them, even greater threats to face. Bring it on! Phenomenova. For you, Dad. For you.